Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 552, written by Prometheus Titan God, the oppressive weight of destiny. Be careful what you wish for is a term that fits this repetitive recurring lucid dream I had. The first time was 1986 and was persistent till around 1990. I know this because I kept a dream journal, and in the same tattered old notebook, I kept all of my weird experiences too. I also told my closest friends, and at one point, throughout the years, I told a school counselor and a youth pastor, so I had several points of verification of when this occurred. It all started because I was very depressed. Like morbidly depressed. I was contemplating the end. But I didn't like the concept of nothingness, or if religion was correct, it would have meant being a slave in an endless church service, or burning in fire as little red imps stuck me with pitchforks. I wasn't in favor of any of those possible options, so I chose to endure my living hell, where there was at least junk food, my favorite TV shows, and the remote possibility of my life improving. Well, it didn't improve. So one night I begged the universe to help at least a little bit, give me a sign so I can see it's all worth it in the end. Big mistake. This is when the dream started lucidly detailing in a way up to that point I had never experienced before. I saw a very old man sitting in the flickering glow of a television in an otherwise darkened room. He sat deeply within the heavily padded and fairly worn recliner. As I approached him, I noticed he looked familiar at first and couldn't place his face. I said hello, but got no response. He just blankly gazed at the TV in front of him. I was mesmerized by his face. Who is he, I thought. I saw every deep wrinkle. His face didn't show the wear and experience of a man who lived a happy life. He had a face that was the result of frown lines that over decades became deep wrinkles, like his sadness and pain was forever preserved in the folds of his skin. I thought, is this my father in the future? Who at the time was only in his late 30s or early 40s. I saw the clear family resemblance. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was me in the future. I had so many questions. I wanted to know what happened. I know who you are, I said to him, but I still got no response. He just kept his glare locked on the TV, so I turned to the TV to see what he was watching. Okay, I have to remind you, this was 1986. Keep that in mind. There was some epic fight between people dressed in obvious modern-looking military uniforms, shooting regular-looking automatic weapons at guys dressed as ancient Egyptian characters, golden and metallic body armor, and these gaudy helmets that looked like typical Egyptian mythical beings, similar to King Tut's casket, but with the heads of dogs. But these gold-armored guys had weapons that I thought resembled a wizard's magic staff because it lit up at the end and shot a beam like a laser gun. I instantly understood this was freaking awesome. I totally understood how my future self would get lost in this movie or show he was watching, because I suddenly forgot all my questions I wanted to ask my future self as I too joined him watching it. I watched about 5 minutes of it. I saw that we're on a flying pyramid that was going through hyperspace or warp speed. Then I saw him, my childhood hero with older short hair, and I said, "It's MacGyver! It's MacGyver shooting automatic weapons in space! This is freaking awesome!" Now again, this was 1986. I only knew the actor Richard Dean Anderson as MacGyver, and yes, I did see what later on was Stargate SG-1. But this dream I had, it was 1986. The Stargate movie didn't come out until 1994, and the pilot of SG-1 didn't air until 1996, 10 years later. The other thing I noticed was a station logo in the right corner of the show. It was a symbol of a ringed planet with a rotating number 2 in it, and the words, "Classic," under the symbol. And yes, this is years before the Sci-Fi Channel was even a thing. As far as I know now, there still isn't a sci-fi classic yet, but there are at least 25 or 30 years to go before I look that old. Back to the dream. As I watched the show, I was interrupted by 2 women talking in the back of the room, masked in shadow. I turned and looked at them. I didn't notice them before, or maybe they came in and I didn't notice because I was distracted by freaking MacGyver in a spaceship. This is when the dream goes dark in a super depressing way. The two women are nurses or caregivers. One is an older woman who is training a new woman, who at the time looked hot to me. She was about early 20s with dark brown hair. The older woman was talking to her, introducing her to each guest as she referred to them. This part still chokes me up as I write this. Sorry, it's very emotional for me. For the sake of this story and privacy reasons, I call myself Prometheus, as the two nurses stood by what looked like a nurse's station, built into a wall that was about 10 feet behind the chair that the old me sat in. The older woman says, "This is Prometheus. He doesn't have much longer. It's important he gets his meds as scheduled, and it's also important not to talk about the following with him or when he can hear you." She handed her a sheet of paper. The new woman asked to read the list. "But you said he doesn't have long. That's on the list of things not to inform him of." The older woman said, "Oh, he can't hear us over here." "Oh," the new woman said, "doesn't he get visitors?" "Not in a very long time. He never married and had no kids. It's the saddest story in this place. That's why he has a list of things not to remind him of. He almost died 4 times because someone wasn't careful. When he first arrived, he was all talkative, but then his only 2 visitors stopped coming. They would be in tears seeing him get worse. Once he realized they weren't coming back, he had a heart attack. He's been silent ever since. He only gets up to watch his shows. He doesn't talk. Don't forget his meds, please." As I looked back at my older self, I saw him looking at me with tears in his eyes. I asked, "Did you hear them?" He said, "No, but you did. And I never forgot when I did, nor what they said. You're here. That means I'm finally free." "I'm so sorry, boy. We deserved better than this. You can't change the end of the story. This is the end of the story. I tried, truly. I did the most I was able to. I tried to get visitors here for the first few months that I don't remember in the dream. Sorry, boy." His eyes went blank and his head dropped as alarms blared. I saw myself die alone, forgotten with the knowledge of a lifetime of unfulfilled dreams and loneliness. I had this dream so many times. Although I could do things slightly different, it was always the same. I tried asking him what went wrong. Hell, I even tried asking for lottery numbers. He kept saying it doesn't matter. I can't change the end of the story. After a few years, it was suggested I asked him about my then friends, what happened with them. So I did just what I shouldn't have. See, I convinced myself it was just a dream until the Stargate movie came out. I remember I got physically ill seeing the same kind of villains. But hey, it wasn't exactly the same as Richard Dean Anderson's, so I kept thinking it was just a dream. I had the dream again, so I asked what happened to friend 1. He said he moved to Florida and died from congestive heart failure over a decade ago. No family, no kids, just like me. Friend 2 moved to Pennsylvania, got married and had a kid who died in a damn convenience store robbery. He tried to be a hero for dumb reasons, and the dude shot him a few times over pocket change. Damn idiot. I warned him. Friend 3, that one was harder hit to me. Friend 3 didn't move away. He got married and had 2 kids. He lived in the same area I did. We just felt distant because of something that happened. It's not important. Friend 4. He paused and said, "No, I can't talk about this." I begged him. "You won't change the end, boy." I said maybe not for us, but how about for them? You don't think I thought of that? You don't think I didn't warn friend 2 about the robbery? He either laughed at me or rolled his eyes every time. You know I was so careful not to do anything to friend 3 to make him disappear from my life. He was like a brother. It still happened. Oh, friend 4, I gave everything to. Hell, I thought I actually succeeded. Well, I am 50 now. Decades later, I can safely say after that day when I saw the pilot episode of Stargate SG-1, starring Richard Dean Anderson, I realized I in no way could have just imagined that accuracy in a dream. This was my future. I remember that exact moment, seeing that one episode. It was the exact same episode in every detail as my dream. I broke a little inside. And as for friends, one moved to Florida and had a triple bypass because of a heart problem, and now is in great danger of death from congestive heart failure. I broke a little more. Friend 2 moved to Florida, got married, and had a kid. I just hope he doesn't try to be a hero when that day comes. Friend 3 still lives locally, but because of reasons, we rarely talk anymore. I break even more at the thought of this. Friend 4 got married and had my goddaughter she named after me. I love that girl. She calls me her best buddy. I love her so much. So now I realize something. When I first had visitors as an old man, it was said I had 2 visitors in the beginning. I now realize who they were. I think hell isn't fire and pitchforks. It's knowledge of a destiny impossible to change. I now appreciate every single second with my goddaughter, every hug, every single thing, because I know no matter what, I'll never let her see me waste away dying from old age like that. Oh my god, I just realized something. They don't choose to stop seeing me. I force them to. Case notes, file number 552. This is heavy as hell. Of course, you've thought about this for the better part of half your life, since the dream started. I don't think there's any advice I could offer that you wouldn't have already thought about in all this time. All I can truly say is, I don't think we get but one life. I think it's all a grand game, and the ending doesn't have to be sad. In fact, I think we press on in some way. There are so many potential ways for that to happen. Maybe it's reincarnation. Maybe there's a general heaven afterlife, although I lean towards the notion that life is a simulation. Death, perhaps then, is merely waking up from our high-tech virtual reality pod, ready to go back in as a new character, to experience something uniquely new to us, every single time. As you say though, given we live with unforgiving unknowns, the best you can do is cherish every hug with your goddaughter, every shining moment. They are precious indeed.